Hi, happy Tuesday, besties and bosses. How y'all doing? I did I don't know if anyone else does this weekend. My husband was like, I want to rearrange all the furniture in our home. And we moved all the things around. We moved a lot of things back because they did not make sense. One of the things we moved around was some of my office space. I don't know if it's going to stay this way or not. We will see, but that is, I had a client ask. So if you're used to watching and things seem like they're like kind of in the same place, but not, you are not crazy. We just played rearranging things this weekend. So you'll have to let me know what you like better. Also, before we dive into today's topic, something I wanted to check back in on. We've been playing with the idea of moving the live stream time back a few hours, personally because I just like daylight a little bit more. So let me know. I was thinking about moving the 6 p.m. We've been doing this for years, Eastern time, back to maybe 4 p.m. Eastern. So, we're still catching a time that works for those of you on the West Coast, but also maybe being able to catch some of you in Europe, because I know we've got people all over the place with time zones. So if you have a preference, chime in, let me know. If you don't care, don't worry about it. We'll make a decision over the next few weeks, but always nice to hear your feedback. And before we dive into today's topic, I will remind you a couple times throughout the live stream, but I always forget this. Today we're having a big celebration. I am celebrating 6 years in business, y'all. 7 years coaching, 6 years officially in business, charging money for coaching, which is very, very exciting. So I want to have special giveaways today. So we are giving away one-on-one coaching call. You can dive into the mindset or strategy that goes into building, growing, and scaling a profitable business. Happy to meet you on the mindset side or on more of the marketing, sales, leadership, team side of things. We are also giving away one copy to my self-study content course, content that stands out and sells. I've had clients use this before hiring me, and it's helped them reach go from barely booking clients to getting visible and booking their first 10K months or making their first 10K months. So I know it's super valuable. So we'll give away one of each of those. I don't have single sessions anymore in my business. It's a great way to get a chance to work with me. All you gotta do is leave a comment below, say hi, give me an emoji. We will hop in. Usually I say tomorrow, but let's say we'll hop in on Thursday just to give everyone an extra day since we've got 2 giveaways. So we'll hop in on Thursday. Select a winner, will reach out by DM and give those to you. I think those are all the big announcements and giveaways. But let's dive into today's topic. So I am officially a 6-year, what's the term for this? 6-year business owner. So I actually celebrated last month. March was my 6-year business anniversary, but we had a lot of things going on behind the scenes and pre-planned with content. So we moved this topic up 1 month. So we're celebrating for last month, but last month I had my 6th year business birthday anniversary. And like I said earlier, that is 7 years from when I started coach training and sort of started, getting my feet into the coaching world and practicing my coaching craft. So feels like a really big thing to celebrate. And what I wanted to share with you all today is absolutely to celebrate because, I put this in the email if you get it. I think in our space, 6 years is I might as well be an old lady. It's very geriatric in our space. I've been around long enough to see so many people come through and leave, and a lot of people have really great success and leave. I just saw another person whose work I really respect leave the industry. So that feels, it's not bad to leave the industry, but I do feel just really blessed to be here 6 years later and to be in a place where I feel like I'm just getting started. And I want to talk about that mindset a little bit. I feel like I've just scratched the surface. So that is exciting. But I want to dive into some of my biggest lessons and takeaways, and maybe some things we've shared and talked about before, but some things that I haven't that have really helped me go from starting my business, but really those edges that have helped me go from sharing this in the email, from that first paying client ever to now we have a multi-6-figure business. I have a team. We are continuing to scale. I've done it all my way, which I'm very proud of. So I just want to share some of those lessons, some of the growth edges around that, and then also share some of the wins under the wins. This is a concept hey Courtney, nice to have you here. Very, very happy to see you. Something I talk about with clients a lot is, yes, celebrating the importance of that, but really the win under the win. So often we get stuck on the surface level win. I have a multi-6-figure business. I'm not downplaying that, but we get so stuck on that piece and we don't always look at what is the win to celebrate that made that happen. So I want to share a few of those with you and just some of the growth edges that have really, really supported me that I also see support my clients. All right. I also promised you I would share a little bit about my mindset in terms of my goals and plans for the next 5-6 years ahead. I'm not a 5-year business planner. don't really believe in that because things change so much in our space, but I'll wrap up with a little bit of that because I find it can be helpful to hear how other people are thinking about business and planning around business and just some of the thoughts that come up for me there. And there's no way we're gonna get to all of these lessons. I like brain dumped these earlier. I was talking to my husband about them. I'm like, there's just been so many over 6 years. So we'll kind of go through some of them. If you have questions, throw the questions at me. I really want this to serve you and your business, and not just the money aspect, but the longevity, sustainability aspect. So if you have a question, throw it at me, and I'm happy, to pivot. And if there's stuff here that feels super important to anyone, let me know. We can always do a follow-up live stream around it. Man, I'm like, I almost don't know where to start, but I'm not going to start with my favorite emotional one. I'm going to start with one that's really on the business side of things that I feel like I understood the concept of when I started my business, but I feel like it was really a growth edge and lesson I stepped into as my business grew. And that's really treating my business like a business, which I think I've always done, but thinking about my business like a business owner. We talk so much about a CEO identity and a CEO mindset, and really learning to see my business as something separate from me, but also how to think about my business and have it also support me. Because I think in our space, it can be very confusing. We hear a lot about you are not your business, but also build a business you love and a business that lights up your life and a business that supports you and gives you the freedom you want. And I think it can be quite a mindfuck, quite honestly, to understand what that means and to be able to create that separation where you really see you are not your business. I feel like it's something that's so easy as a concept, but sometimes really hard to separate from, especially for those of you who are creatives, or, I'm a coach. I'm literally I am the product of my business. I think that can be hard to understand, but truly you are not your business, and starting to think like a business owner, I have found has been just a really, I would say just a beautiful growth edge. I think sometimes we hear growth edges, and I know I've got some perfectionists in this group. I'm a recovering perfectionist. I know a lot of people here are high achievers. And I think there's this way when we come into business where we think we're almost supposed to have everything figured out, and any sort of growth edge opportunity, it's yeah, but also we almost want to make that wrong. I should have known this or should have thought this way in advance. And something I can see looking backwards now is I was always at the right place and exactly where I was meant to be for what I was doing. And I think I thought about business in a great way, but there's certain things you just can't think about or have kind of the nuance or understanding for until you're in the felt experience of it. And I think there's such an edge there in allowing for that to be true and sort of not making yourself wrong, but also I think when you don't make yourself wrong, you open up the space to allow for those those lessons. That ledges is lessons and edges combined in my brain together and collapse. So there we go. Got a new phrase there for us. But I think when you can allow yourself not to be wrong in that way and see just because there's room to grow in the way you might think as a business owner or think as a CEO and the way you maybe think about your business, that doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong or you've been doing anything wrong. Usually that means you are growing, you are up leveling, and there's just certain things, unless you've been there before, even if you've supported other people with it, you're just not going to know how that is in your business. I know for me, I have always coached clients at different stages in business, and I've had clients, it was my second year in business, I was coaching someone who was at the $1 million mark where that absolutely was not where I was at. And so in many ways, I could see what was going on in someone else's business and support them through that. But that didn't mean it was the same thing for me as I was growing, and just allowing for that contrast. And I say this for everyone here because I think, again, this can be a way where we almost want to make ourselves wrong. Just allowing for that ability to see, just because you can support someone with something or you can see that for someone else doesn't mean that there isn't an opportunity for you to go through the growth of that and experience that in your own business. Hi, Star says hi. So fun when I'm able to catch you live. So fun to have you here. Nice to see. I always like seeing friendly faces on here. I'm also just realizing I'm tucked in. I have this long sweater on. I was just tucked into my chair. So I say that because when I say that kind of growth edge or that opportunity for growth, really around thinking like a business owner and having that CEO identity, I think, again, I think it's a phrase sometimes where it's almost like the cool thing to say, but I really want to invite you all to think about this because it's been such a gift for me of really thinking about what does that mean and how am I thinking about my business, and how as I grow does that thinking change and my thought process change, and how can I really start to think about my business, yes, as a CEO from that CEO identity, but what that really means is starting to separate yourself from your business, and while your business gets to support you and be in alignment and be everything that is beautiful for you, how can you also see it as a separate entity from you? And really start to look at what does your business need from you as a business owner? How does it need you to think about things as a business owner that's really thinking about this as something that's profitable and sustainable and really in service of what a business is about, which we talk about so much in here, which is really in service of helping your clients solve problems, get results. And then you get to do that in a way that really serves you as the individual running it, but seeing those as two separate things. Something I find I support clients with a lot, and I found my first year in business was a really big, if you want to call it an edge, but just a really great thing for me to do work around in is just seeing how when I was in my first year in business, I've always treated my business like a business, but I did not have that separation. And I would say my first year in business, I don't know if codependent is quite, I don't love labels, but just for like a lack of a better way to say it, there was just such an enmeshment with my business and my emotions, and sort of it was almost like I expected my business to give me like the self-soothing emotions, and like the worthy emotions, but it was also the place I would go to buffer or to avoid or to kind of like work out my emotions. And, I don't want to make that wrong. I think I did what was right in that first year of business and what made sense then. And we're celebrating the lessons and the growth edges. And I think just to like give people some insight and some things to think about. I think one of the biggest like opportunities for growth for me, and just with what I see for so many of us, especially I would say for those, I think most of you in this group are in healing spaces and service-driven and service-based places. You're all heart-centered, you're caring. I think it can be very easy for us almost to care too much, where there is a little bit of that enmeshment. And I just see such a beautiful growth opportunity there when we start to be able to pull those things apart. And so you still get to have all the emotions, you still get to have all the feels and all the things. And it's not like saying like that has to be all sorted out, but just seeing it gets to be separate from the business. And those are two very separate things. And man, I will say that really was a like turning point in my business. I think sometimes we want like the secret in business to be like this crazy strategy, or like, and then I had this offer, and that is what unlocked 10K and 20K and 30K and 40K months. But I think so much of it was more the thought process and mindset work behind it, and absolutely the mindset work, but this piece here we're talking about. Courtney says enmeshment is the perfect word for it. I relate. Thank you so much for just sharing that, because I think it's nice for other people to hear if they feel that enmeshment. It's just such a good word for it, so thank you for saying that. But just to see that they're not the only ones, because I think most of us get into that space, and really and truly, when you can start to create that separation, what happens is the business just becomes so much more neutral. It's so much easier to make decisions. It's so much easier to market. It's so much easier to sell. It's so much easier to serve clients really well, because often when we're enmeshed, I would say clients don't even necessarily know all the time. It's just oftentimes what's happening on the other side is you're carrying so much on, you're taking so much on. If there isn't that separation, that's where burnout can come from. That's where I definitely, that first year in business, got real close to the burnout, ledge, is that a thing? But a lot of it is what we're talking about here. So I think just seeing how that can really help just create a lot of care for you as well as a business owner. And it's really such an act of self-care, and what can create a lot of the freedom that we're all craving, but also allow you to treat your business differently, which absolutely then changes the way you're able to show up, the results you're able to get. I've already been talking for a hot second on that, so I have so many things here, so I'm gonna jump to a couple others, but if there are questions coming up or anything y'all want me to like talk more just on a certain topic, let me know, and same on the replay as well. But just seeing if there was, just seeing that separation. So with that, there's kind of like a second piece here that I would say has been such a huge lesson for me. And this really also influences the way I support clients and the way I support my clients. My clients get incredible results. We had 11 people last year alone go from zero or kind of starting out in business to their first 6 figures. Many clients hit multiple 6 figures last year. We have some $1 million clients as well, but just in terms of like this, what I'm talking about here is so much of what I'm also supporting clients with to those results. And like, yes, it's about that separation there and just starting to see how you're thinking about business and starting to really cultivate that and really have the awareness and discernment about your thought process for your business. And then with that, it's starting to look at and be able to identify what the right problems to solve and what the real problems to solve are in your business. So definitely a shout out to my coach, Lacey Seitz, who just had her baby. I don't know if she actually had her baby. She was just in labor yesterday, as a side note. Which is just very, very exciting. Very, very happy for her. But she talks a lot about solving the right problem. And I've worked with her for 4.5 or 5 years at this point, for quite a while. So for almost the majority of my business. So a lot of that has been supported by working with her. But something I also really support clients with on is not just solving the right problem, but also identifying when there's actually a problem to solve. And what I mean by this, and just in terms of like why this has been such a lesson, what I have seen in my own business and over the years and what I have seen through clients is it's kind of twofold here. One, how easy it is to create problems that don't exist and that either don't exist or are simply a very normal part of business. And starting to be able to kind of think about your business that way, create that separation helps with this a lot. But also starting to understand what's just normal in business as opposed to what we want to freak out about because it's not matching up to our, internal dialogue or what we like the expectations we set for ourselves. Really starting to understand that and be mindful of that because it's very, very, very easy because the brain is wired to look for problems. And it is like, I say hungry, hungry hippo all the time. Do you guys remember that game? But I feel like our brain is like a hungry, hungry hippo. It is literally on the alert for where are the threats, where are the problems. It just wants to find a problem and solve it and bring that to you as a prize. And so we have to be very mindful in business because this is how the brain is designed, and it is so easy to latch onto something, think it's a problem, and not realize that it's just a very, very normal construct in business. So that has been a huge growth edge and lesson for me, is just starting to identify through my own business and 6 years of supporting clients what's just simply normal in business as opposed to what is actually a problem that needs to be addressed and solved for. And if there's actually a problem that needs to be addressed and solved for, one of the biggest lessons I have had then, and kind of what we're talking about here, is learning then to solve the right problem and address the right problem in a really neutral way. So there's kind of two parts to that. One, what I find is we so often present something as a problem and we just want to again, because brain likes to find problems. We just want to squirrel around at looking at that problem, and it just can feel very self-soothing to find a problem and dig into it. And so often what I find is the problem we think is the problem often is not the right problem to solve. And taking that CEO level thinking, taking that strategic thinking, taking that neutral look at your business and what's being presented and really getting clear on what is actually the problem that needs to be solved here or addressed here. Sarah says, you're such a ninja at clarity and figuring out if there's actually a problem to solve. It's been a gift. Thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate you so much for saying that. I love you. And that also is just like this because it's such an important value of mine. Because I do think it's so easy, again, for us as business owners to see something, and if it's challenging, if it's triggering, if our brain's excited to have brought us a problem, to want to go down that rabbit hole. I think it's also really easy on the support side, if you're not thinking through this lens, to want to just please clients and to want to chase them down any rabbit hole and problem they bring to you. And so I find both as a business owner, it's really helpful to take a step back and get really clear on what's the right problem to solve. And then on the coaching side, as a business owner, coaching other business owners, really allowing myself to stay neutral, to not have that enmeshment we were talking about, to not take on the what a client is feeling and to help them find the right problem to solve, because otherwise we can just spin out for the longest time solving things that don't need solving, or just kind of solving really the wrong thing. Something that I, as a business owner, and that I also coach my clients around, that I've just learned over 6 years, is if there's a lot of, this is probably something I've learned from Lacey as well, from coaching with her, but if there's just a lot of trigger or agitation, or if you're feeling activated about something, generally speaking, that's a really good sign. I think we've talked about this in here before, that the right problem to solve is probably not what's presenting, but it's probably more mindset, emotional, energetic. Doesn't mean there isn't maybe something else to solve after that, but that's usually step one. If you're feeling more neutral, then we can get clear on what's the right problem to solve. And then I find you'll know that's kind of the place to go, because you'll be able to just pull data, pull information, look at patterns more neutrally. And that's kind of how you know you're in the right problem. And I really think that has been such a gift and a lesson learned over 6 years, that it's sort of like we talk about like sharpening your saw in here. I think it's just a saw or sword that gets sharpened more every year, that really supports me and creates so much more ease in my business. There's so much more spaciousness in my business. It's really fascinating to me. We're in year 6 and I'm making exponentially more than I did in year 1. And what did we do last year? We 365K, I think, last year. My first year in business, I don't even know what the numbers were, but we definitely weren't even close to 100K. And yet I'm working far less, and I feel like love my life, love my business, like pinch me, like this could just be like this forever. And I think part of it is everything we're talking about here. This was really a challenge for me in my first year in business. I had really beautiful support, but I don't think I had the support at that time that was really able to help me identify the right problem to solve. And having that support and then being able to support myself through that and clients through that, it really is just such a game changer. And yes, getting the actual results, the monetary results, but also in the ease and the like being able to separate from your business in that way we're talking about. Okay, if you have questions about that, I think that makes sense, but if not, let me know. Oh, which one do I want to go to? Which one do I want to go to next? Okay, I know which one I want to go to next, and I need one more. Oh, those bubbles got my throat. I feel like I'm always bringing beverages to y'all. This is like my new favorite thing. The Pellegrino, like little tiny cans. I feel like they're so cute. They're like so, I don't know, their branding's really nice. They feel very elegant to me. Also, as a fun side note, when we got married, when Eric and I got married and we got our wedding bands, we got Eric's wedding band from Tiffany's. Mine's more like a vintage one, and we felt very fancy going in there, but they gave us bottles like this when we were buying our ring, so I think they have like an emotional spot for me as well. Which, by the way, we could do a live stream on that. They had such a brilliant sales process. Tiffany's, like them, hate them, it doesn't matter, but just in terms of their positioning and their sales process and their customer service, really, really did an excellent job. Some really good lessons in there. Maybe we will talk about that. That is not my lesson over 6 years, but I will say something I have learned is there is a lesson in everything around us. And the longer I'm in this work, the more I just see how life is just beautiful that way and giving us opportunities for growth and just lessons and to make connections and to give us insights everywhere if we're looking for it, if we're available for it. Anyway, that's a little side note, but I think it counts here as well. So this is kind of a win under a win, which we were talking about. I was looking at the time. Okay, we have time for a couple more. This is something I hope will be really permission giving for some of you as well. But I would say some of my biggest wins and my biggest growth over the last 6 years, 7 years, if we count that in from coaching, has been things that are unseen, things that I will probably never publicly share just because it doesn't make sense for my marketing. And some of my biggest monetary wins and business wins are the result of a lot of unseen work that has happened every single day. And that feels so important to say because I think sometimes we forget that in our space because I think it's just the way it kind of makes sense. Like we're all business here, we're selling certain things. I'm going to share things that make sense and are relevant for you that I hope are supportive for you. So it doesn't always make sense for me to reference everything else, but I think then because of that, it's easy to think those are the only things that matter. And I've just really seen how like some of my biggest celebrations are maybe the things you wouldn't expect to be celebration worthy. And I see that through my clients as well all the time. Like sometimes the biggest breakthroughs and calls where I'm a sap and crying, my clients will attest to that, You'd think it's always the record-breaking income month. While those are absolutely celebration worthy, so often it's the mindset shifts, the transformation, some of the healing that goes on, the ways people are showing up, holding boundaries, owning their work. So I want to reflect that to you so you can also take that on, because I mean that so sincerely, and I think that's something we can hear and almost eye roll at. And especially if we're in the place, I know Kim in year one of business would have eye rolled at that and be like, yeah, let me make the money and then I'll have all of that lovely stuff. But the truth is, like, if you keep showing up and doing what you're doing, the money's gonna come. It's those pieces that make the money so much sweeter and make it so much easier to sustain the ride and actually want to be one of the people who is still around in business 6 years, 12 years, however much later. The other, I guess, I don't know if this is a win under a win or if this is more on the lesson side, but we talk about this, I feel like, a fair amount in here, but I have just seen this to just be so true in my experience over the past 6 years, is that success is not accidental, and it really is the result of such intentionality. And I say that not in a way to freak anyone out, where it's like, if you're not intentional, you're not going to create success. I mean, I'm sure you can stumble upon success. It's not what I mean at all. This really, I hope, is permission giving for that person. I know me in year one would have just been so happy to hear that, because I think sometimes it did feel almost like, well, it's only for the people who like stumble upon it, or you're only gonna have success online or make money if you like know the secret, or I don't know, if you have like the magic mindset that you rub your nose and tap dance and twirl around, and then if you use this one strategy, like it'll work for you, or if like you just like manifest right or win the lottery right, but otherwise, like, I don't know if that'll happen. And so really, when I say success is so intentional, and I've just seen it as the result and byproduct of being so intentional every single day. I don't mean that again as a pressure, like a pressurizing thing, or as like, if you're not intentional, you won't create results, but hopefully to give you some of your power back and to see it really isn't something that, like, it has just been like such a like place of self-trust for me, and such a place that has really helped me anchor in. But I had to anchor into this before the results came, that it really just isn't accidental. And when you see things aren't accidental, and you see how much your intentionality and your actions and the choices you make and the way you show up, how that really can make your success inevitable, and how all of your results really are the compound effect of lots of intentionality that adds up over time. It doesn't mean things have to take a long time, but I think there can just be a lot of more ease around that, and a lot less like, well, we'll just see if this works, as opposed to, no, of course this is going to work because I'm intentionally showing up for that to be the case. So simple lesson, but it's been very big for me in terms of, again, just that self-trust and that safety in my business. And I know we've talked about this here, but it feels worth repeating how real that intentionality and the compound effect really are. And the results are very rarely the outcome from doing one thing once. Usually it's a series of steps, thoughts, that are happening intentionally every single day that compound, that make it seem like one thing popped or worked. I know if I were to say, like, this one post made me X amount of money, I mean, it's that one post plus however many years of intentional, consistent thoughts and actions. And that would be the case for any business. And again, this isn't an argument to say things have to take a long time. In fact, I would say that's also a lesson that I really believe in the mindset of playing the long game, being in something for the long term, treating your business that way, but also being very available for results in the present, and knowing things don't have to take a long time, particularly in our online space. I've seen people grow really, really quickly. I've seen clients grow much faster than me. I've seen clients grow really, really quickly. But I think it's having that long-term mindset, that long-term approach, that intentionality, that willingness to show up for the long game that allows for quick results in the present, and then to sustain those long-term. All right, I think that one's pretty self-explanatory, but that has definitely been both a win under a win and a bit of a lesson there. How are we doing on time? All right, we're doing okay on time here. So this is both a celebration and win under a win, and this is also, I think, a lesson for me. And as people are hopping on now, and as you're hopping in the replay, just a reminder, if you say hi, emoji comment, you are entered to win a one-on-one session, and you're also entered to win my self-studies course content that stands out and sells. Because it's a celebration, we're giving away all the things. We're doing extra wins. So I want to make sure I remind you all, please do that. We'll pick winners on Thursday this week, and we will DM you, so check your DMs if you have won. But this is one of the things I'm probably celebrating the most, that it sounds like messaging. It sounds like this is cute messaging and things you just say, but this is one of those things where I really try to walk my messaging and walk my talk. And this is like the whole thing that makes my business feel good, that makes my life feel good, that makes me love my work, that I think goes into why I feel like I've just scratched the surface and I have no intention of going anywhere. And like, I plan on being around for a long time, even if 6 years in our space seems like a long time. But it's this kind of win under the win. And I really feel like I have built something that is on my terms, that is highlighting the way I want to do things, and that is really, I've heard it said somewhere else before, but it's almost like the most me way I could do something. I feel like my business is so me. In fact, I've heard from clients before, they're like, that's so you, Kim. And I feel like it is so built in a way that is in alignment with my values and with how I believe business coaching. I care very, very deeply about the craft of coaching to my clients. And I really, truly believe I've built something in a way that is in that alignment, and that has made such a massive difference. And here's kind of that's the win under the win to multi-six figures and being fully booked and being booked out for years. And the message is popping up. The kind of lesson under that is that's really fun for me to share with you today. And I am just celebrating Kim years ago when I did not, when you choose to do things your way, and when you choose to do things, especially if your way is not necessarily the way the rest of the industry or the rest of your peers are doing things, and especially when maybe the way you're choosing, as in my case, is not the quick route to making more money, and you're in an industry like ours, selling something that speaks to money, where that is something we absolutely talk about. That's been such a growth edge and such a just place where I really had to trust myself and be okay with people not understanding, or people thinking I was crazy, or not making as much money as my peers, or not scaling as quickly. And I mean, I don't think there's any place in this world where once you're making over six figures that isn't something that's it's all celebration worthy, but that isn't great income. But in terms of our space, where I think there's just such messaging to like 7 figures overnight, and like what's the quickest way to scale, that just to give context there, I think all the income amounts on the way there are all celebration worthy and just so beautiful. But I'm in a space with peers who are making far more than money. I have clients who make far more money than me, many clients who make far more money than me because of my business model. And for those of you who don't know, I have an all one-on-one business model, and I have chosen to scale one-on-one and been really committed to that. But there was also a time where I did not know that's how I was going to scale. And having this mindset and having this belief that I get to do things my way, everything is possible, I'm so willing to hang out until that way comes to me. Because I spent about 6 months or a year, there was a good pocket of time where I don't know how I have no idea how I'm scaling, but I know I'm only available for it to be my way and to be in alignment and to kind of check these different boxes, which was basically I'm scaling one-on-one. So I offer that here because that's something I'm celebrating. I'm so celebrating past me, but that's also something that at the time, it was a year of I was kind of hanging out in discomfort. It wasn't like I knew that that's what I was going to, I knew the way I was going to do that. It's not and then I made the decision to scale one-on-one and my business blew up to 7 figures overnight. There was a lot of times that I was on coaching calls or just journaling, and I just sort of I don't know what that's going to look like, but I know this is important to me. So I want to celebrate that because I think there's such a win under a win there of the self-trust and I think it's honestly self-love as well, and the care that I have for my work and the way I want to work. And I think the lesson there is also the importance of that, because it's interesting, that discomfort there, my willing to be uncomfortable for whatever period of time, is also the reason I'm able to sit here today and say, I feel like I'm just getting started, and I feel like I've just scratched the surface, and I feel like there's so much potential, and I feel like I don't plan on going anywhere, and like we're going to be around for a really long time in terms of being a business. And so it's interesting, and I think there's just such a lesson in that, to see that huge piece or like time period of discomfort and not knowingness and sort of just being unclear, and being willing for that to be okay, and trusting myself that there would be an answer and I would find out what's right, and being so I don't know if determined is the right word, but just being so just very much choosing that I was going to wait until something that felt like my way of doing it. It's just so paying off now. And so I hope that's something that will benefit some of you who are maybe sitting in that place. We're so like Instapot, Amazon, Prime, microwave society of like just wanting instant answers and instant results and instant clarity on everything. And while, hey, I love me some Amazon Prime that drops off things in 1 to 2 days, and I'm very grateful for technology that lets us have super quick clarity and super quick results on things. I think there's also just something to be said for sometimes the slow cooker method, just allowing for that, can be really powerful as well. And I do think so much of the celebration I get to have today is willing for some of that discomfort in the past, and just being okay with not knowing the answers right away. In fact, I was talking about this with a client recently, because I so know, like, it's also not fun when you're sitting in that discomfort because you don't have clarity, or that discomfort because you're staying in the gap because results aren't happening. So not discrediting any feelings of activation or just how frustrating that can feel. So much easier for me to say this today, but that is why it's such a win, because I'm celebrating past me for being willing to sit in that, but also want to share that celebration and the win under the win, because it's such a different celebration today because I was willing to wait for that clarity on how to scale my way. This is not necessarily what we're talking about, but I feel like with that too, one of the lessons I would say I've had is I'm by no means an overnight success. I think my first year in business was one of the most challenging years of my life, quite honestly. Just I was just getting in my own way in so many ways, and I also just had a lot of unresolved or unhealed trauma, I think, to work through. And my results that I share with you today, by no means like was I one of those people who like came online and then like booked out in 5 seconds and made, $1 quadrillion in a second. But I never was unavailable for that. I never made that wrong. And I was also just so intentional and determined and clear that those results were still mine. And I share that because I think there's a win under a win in that. And I think there's also something that I've just seen as a lesson where business just isn't a race. And while it's super nice to have fast results, and it's super nice to have quick clarity, and it's super nice not to sit in discomfort, come on, it would have been super cool if that had happened, and super cool if some of the discomfort when I didn't know how I was going to scale, like if that had been truncated. But at the end of the day, when you get to the result, when you get to the, in air quotes, finish line, there's not a prize for who gets there faster. And like I have the rest of my business to enjoy now, something that feels really aligned, to feel really good in my business because I did some of that work to heal things, to genuinely love the work I do and how I make money. And I say this because this was something I had to get clear on before this happened, when I was sitting in discomfort soup, which y'all, if you've ever been in it, I know everyone here has, it is hot and sticky and not fun, and no one wants to be in discomfort soup. But I had to keep reminding myself what's on the other side of this is so worth it. And once I have those results, I'm not going to care that it took me a little bit longer than someone else, or that I didn't figure out my way to scale as quickly as someone else. The fact that I get this for the rest of my life, as long as I decide I want to do this business, is so worth it. So such a win under a win, but also just such a lesson I've learned, and something I hope that I give to clients as well, which is like, we are so available for quick results. We are so available to ease the discomfort and work through stuff. And we're all just on our own journeys and at different points in them, and wherever you're at on that journey is so right. Because I also know if I'd skipped over that time period, I would have missed some of the biggest like lessons that ended up being gifts that help me now support my clients in a different way and let me have this business as opposed to a different business that I might have wanted to burn to the ground. And so I think it's easier for me to say now, but I had to believe that at least this was possible then. And that has just been such a lesson and gift for me. Mary says, not a prize to those who get there faster. I love that so much. It's so true. And I have to remind this I'll actually say just in terms of kind of like a lesson as well. This is the same lesson I have to remind myself now because I am choosing to scale my business through one-on-one, through a revenue share model in a way that, there's limitless potential there and it can absolutely happen super quickly, but it's kind of not up to me. It's kind of up to whatever my clients are doing. And I am just such a big fuck no to putting any pressure on that or my clients. And so it's kind of out of my control and it's not necessarily the quickest way to scale. And so kind of what we're talking about here, like there's also not a prize for me or for anyone else if I like scale to $1 million faster. At a certain point, I think we sometimes forget when we're in the discomfort or when we're in the growth process. I want to be mindful of saying this because I know how cheesy this can sound. And I also know how when you're in the uncomfortable place, how almost annoying and grating this can feel, because I'm sure at a point I would have thought that. But I think we forget that truly the day-to-day, the journey, the process, the being in the work of running your business, the felt experience is really what matters the most. And at a certain point, making more money doesn't make that much of a difference. And so it's just a really fascinating thing. And that has been a lesson that I know I had heard and I did not believe until I started making more money, which is why I'm such a big proponent on it's not just about the money you make, it's how you make your money and what you do with your money that matters. And so not only is there not a prize and it's not a race in terms of who gets there first, but I think just seeing otherwise if we're just racing to get the money or racing to the finish goal or racing to try to get a result, and we're missing all of the juicy things that help us do it on our terms, that help us do it our way, that help us do it in a way that also gives us the growth and the healing that we need because we're in such a rush to get there. The unfortunate thing, and I've just seen this because people come to me, is suddenly you have more money and you realize, oh, this is really nice to have, but the high from that is pretty quick. And money is such a beautiful resource and I love it. So I don't want to talk bad about money. I love it. I love what it does for my life. But at a certain point, it doesn't alter the quality of your life that much unless you have altered the quality of your experience in your life so that you can enjoy your money, if that makes sense. So it's not that money isn't great to make, but it's sort of if on the way to making that, you haven't set it up in a way so that you can enjoy that process of making it and enjoy that process of spending, enjoying the money, you're just going to have more money with all the same challenges and problems, and then a business that you don't want to sustain to keep making more money. So I hope that thought process all made sense, but it's been such a lesson, and just such a lesson I've seen through my clients and also through people who come to me it's not wrong, but their journey has been maybe not building a business on their terms and they are making money, but just, the untangling that has to be done because that can lead to burnout or feel really overwhelming, or have you build something where you're I feel like I'm in golden handcuffs because I'm making money, but I kind of hate what I'm doing. So I want to be such a proponent for the quick wins, for the quick growth, for the quick money, that is so possible. I've had clients honestly blow their minds and blow my mind with how that can happen. But I also want to offer the opposite and just be an example of both are great. Both are right. If it takes a little longer, whether it's for the clarity or for the results, both ways are beautiful. Both are equally as juicy. One is not better than the other. One does not make you better. They're just different paths and each come with different trade-offs. Fast growth also means you have all of the challenges that come with fast growth, right? Slower growth means you get to work some of that stuff out before all the growth comes in. I've seen this, not to go too much off on a tangent, but I think it's just seeing each one, as you grow and as you create success, there are just new challenges that come to play. So I think just seeing either way, you don't get to avoid those, and that's not a bad thing. That's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. So that has been a big lesson. I think we have time for one more lesson, and then we'll we'll wrap up. I feel like I could say a million and 10 things here. I literally have like a long list, but I think we're getting some of the main ones that are on my mind today. And then if y'all want more on these in particular, we can do a live stream on that. The last one I want to speak to, and I know we've definitely talked about this one before, but it does feel so important and is something I have just seen a new layer to every year in business. And something that I think when I first heard this, I thought it was a marketing concept, and I also just didn't believe it was that like true. It's really funny, but that's just the idea that no one creates success alone, and then kind of it's like a two-parter. So no one creates success alone, and then with that, I really think there's something to starting to understand as a business owner. Making money is a little different than if you make money as an employee, and that whatever money you make as a business owner, it's kind of not all yours. It's the business's money, and the business pays you. And I swear this goes to not doing things alone. Part of what I've really found to be true, and I have just found this to be increasingly true as I grow and scale, and I would have thought at year one it would be the opposite way around, but I have just found the more I grow and scale, if I want to continue to sustain my business and treat my business like a business and think like a business owner who pays me as the business owner really well, but who's also thinking about what the business needs and the sustainability and the scalability of my business, so much of that thought process has also been about how to invest really wisely back into my business, because the more I invest wisely in my business, the more that can help me to sustain and grow and scale my business. And I want to explain this in a couple ways because there have been some really big lessons in this. So one, when I say no one does this alone, this doesn't mean you have to have a coach. I mean, I'm obviously a coach, and I still have a coach, and I think that's a big part of the support part. But I'm also speaking to things like team or support at home, or the different things that as a business grows are really required so that you can sustain your business and continue to make money in a way that doesn't burn you out, but also that sets you up to scale at a certain point. For most of us, because we're service providers in this group, we kind of hit a max on hours. So if we're not getting support and we're not investing in support wisely, you do actually you just make it kind of impossible to scale and limit your own capacity for growth. And then there's also just the added component of, I just personally don't know a single successful business owner that is sustaining multiple 6 and 7 figures and also enjoying their life and not burning out and enjoying their business and doing well, that isn't also getting personal support in some way, whether it's coaching or mastermind. I just genuinely don't know anyone. And I say that again just to normalize, because I'm pretty sure in my first year of business, I would have thought, oh, well, you kind of hit a point on support and then you're done, and then you don't need any more, or there's no value in it. And I know for a fact, I remember filling something out about what my dream team was, and I really was I want a lean team and I want one person on that. The thought of having to hire people and manage a team and have systems and processes and run a team, it just was so not something I wanted, which I love now. So there's the irony in that. But I share that because this is just one of those things that I just could not have known until I was in the felt experience of it, which is kind of what we were talking about at the beginning of the live stream. And not to make that wrong, that wasn't wrong that Kim at year 1 or 2, when she hired her first VA, thought that was kind of the max of my team. That was just what was true then, and my brain just couldn't really see even a need for more than that. And I've just now have the gift of just that many years further along and that much more growth with a team to see, oh, there's such a need for a larger team, and turns out I actually really like it. And I love all of the team aspect. But I think just seeing I just couldn't really see that to be true, but that need for support has only really grown as my business has grown, and so has that need to be available to receive support, which is almost a whole nother live stream we could do, because I think that's been a big growth edge as well, just learning how to lean into asking for and receiving support at different levels as my business has grown. But I just think the more I'm holding space for other humans and holding space for their transformation, for their big results, for the things we're doing in our business, supporting a team, it would make sense. And kind of like the more support you need in different areas in different ways. And then just on a really practical level, most businesses, I don't want to say it's not possible, but if you're scaling in a way that's sustainable, not burning you out, actually letting you love the work you do, most people's needs increase. Now with that, the other lesson I've learned, I'm checking the time because I'm really trying to challenge myself not to always be like 90 minutes for y'all, because I could just like chat about this stuff all day long. But the other piece with that I have found is kind of like the double-edged sword. I have found the more money you make in business, the easier it is just to want to throw money at problems and to want to throw money at support and to just almost be like, well, it doesn't matter because there's enough money here. And one of the big lessons I have found, or maybe this is a value and a lesson, but just really being mindful of, yes, no one does this alone. Yes, invest in support, but also invest in the right support. It's kind of like solving the right problem. And also just being mindful of profit margin and profitability in your business, because it is really easy when you're in a like maybe more expansive season in business, I think, just to not even think about that. And it's beautiful and abundant. But I think if we go back to one of the first lessons of thinking like a business owner, thinking like a CEO, treating your business like a business, I think, yes, invest in support. And I think taking a moment to think like that business owner, I think, what support does the business need? Or do I need as the business owner running the business? What investment actually makes sense for my business? What investment actually supports us in either sustaining or scaling and getting, growing this business or impacting more lives or giving you some time back? But just being smart with those investments, even as you're making more money, so you can retain that profit margin, which I think is just really healthy for a business in many ways. We could do a whole live stream on that, but that's been a really big lesson and just a helpful thing for me to also see through clients as they're scaling as well, and something just to be mindful of. I'm doing one more. I know we're almost at an hour, but I'm sharing one more because we're having fun celebrating. And as a reminder, if you're on now, if you're on the replay, say hi, leave a comment, leave an emoji. You'll be entered in to win a one-on-one session or my content course, Content That Stands Out and Sells, which is really, really great self-study course that will help you with your content and help you create it in a way that, yes, helps you stop the scroll, but also helps you to create those conversions. It's really important with your content. So definitely leave comments and we'll pick those on Thursday. I want to keep reminding y'all, because I know people have been hopping in kind of late as we're going. But the last lesson, Win Under the Wind, I think this is more a lesson. And I'll give a quick recap or a quick thought on kind of my future plan. But it's something we talked about in one of our master classes recently. We were talking about the idea that as a business owner, as someone who's marketing, I think we forget that all marketing works, as Emily Hirsch says, all marketing works. And I love that quote. And I think this is Robert Cialdini in Influence, The Power of Persuasion. He talks about how marketing is a really powerful tool and people really do pick up what you put down. And with that, I think it's Robert Cialdini who speaks to this, I think we have to really be mindful to come from a place of integrity and personal responsibility. And I say this because when I was in my first year of business, I don't think I quite understood the power of marketing. And I think I was still in that mindset, like, I don't think this works that well. Is it working for me? I don't know what's working. And just the longer I've been in business, the longer I've seen how well marketing works and just seeing it through my clients as well. And also just seeing for those of you who are also thought leaders, who are also sharing your work and your ideas, how much people really do listen and consume, even if you don't think they are. Those silent engagers are so real. I only know because I've been around long enough to hear from some of them over the years and to work with some of them over the years. And I say this again, not to like put pressure or to create, not to create pressure or for anyone, but just to remember, even when it feels like your marketing or thought leadership isn't being seen and heard, it is, and people really do pick up what you put down, and you don't know who's looking to you and your words. And I think that's so empowering because you can see what an impact you can have. And I think the other side to that, and just I think it's a beautiful lesson, but it's a reminder I have as a core value and something I hope to coach my clients around and kind of instill in them is just the responsibility that comes from being someone who's out there sharing your thoughts, being someone who is putting a price tag to work, even if you're not putting a price tag to work, if you're out there sharing your thoughts, and if you're marketing, and just taking some personal responsibility for knowing that words have an impact, words matter. If mindset work matters because of the words we're saying to ourselves, of course the words we're putting out there matter as well. And just having some personal responsibility with that. I don't think anyone in this group does not, or honestly, you'd probably be kicked out of the group and we probably would have blocked you. But it's just, I think if anything, just helpful as a reminder for how well marketing works and how much impact everyone has the potential to make on, small and large scales, but all impact is important. If you impact one person deeply, I would argue that is just as important as impacting 1,000 people for that ripple out effect. And just remembering from just a place of personal responsibility, because I think we also live in a time where our devices are in our fingertips. It's just so easy to spew things out into the world. And I've just seen it's like the powerful side to it, but then also just the personal responsibility side to it. And then with that, what I will say is, and then this is like where you get to remove the pressure. No one is expected to be perfect. No one's expected to know everything in advance. Everyone makes mistakes. I have fucked up so many times. And so I would say with the personal responsibility piece, the other lesson I've learned is have the integrity to want to show up from a place of integrity and responsibility, and also be available to make mistakes and learn from them. And if you've screwed up, just be available to either make it right or to speak to it and to address it, and just seeing that's also okay. Making a mistake because you're trying to come from a good place is very different than being thoughtless and not taking that personal responsibility with your marketing and your thought leadership. That's just been a huge, huge lesson. Taking personal responsibility and being willing to just fix mistakes, I think can go a very long, very, very long way. Okay, thank you for the hearts, Mary. I appreciate you. Also just nice to get the feedback there. So many lessons. Today I wanted to share a little bit more of like the growth edges and some of, yes, the wins under the wins, but just really some of the things that I have just, we don't always get to talk about when we're talking about some of the, more strategy side of things. And even when we're talking about some of the mindset side of things, we don't always get to see kind of like the personal journey behind it. Obviously, I've been coaching for 7 years and in business for 6 years, 1 hour of wins and lessons. These are just the things that were top of mind today. There's so many more here. And I say that again, just so that we're not, for anyone, wherever you're at in the journey, so we're not diminishing what it means for you in the journey, but these were some of the highlights for me. So if you have any questions on these, feel free to pop them here or reach out to me. If you want any support in your business, before we talk about that, I was going to share, because we have one coaching intensive still available this month. But I did want to say in terms of, because I said in the email, I want to make sure I deliver on what I promise. So we talk a little bit about where I see my business going for the kind of future. I'm not a big believer in 5-year plans. I just find they really box me in, and they don't, I have no idea where business is going to be in 5 years. I don't even know if we're going to be using Facebook in 5 years. But I do like to set intentions, and I do like to be really clear on some of the things I want in my business. And so just to celebrate with you and kind of close that button, one thing I really intend, I don't see one-on-one going anywhere anytime soon. I imagine it will always be the main part of my business. Who knows? But that's kind of how I see that. My intention as moving forward really is to focus and continue to focus on one-on-one and to scale one-on-one. We did, and I'm very big on only adding one new thing per year. So last year we added the podcast. This year we have added an invite-only mastermind for my long-term clients that we just started a couple days ago. So that will be my focus, but it still has a heavy one-on-one component. It's an add-on for my one-on-one clients, not like a whole separate thing. So it's still one-on-one focus. And really I see, just in terms of like where the business is going, really focusing on that one-on-one, on serving my clients really well and continuing to deepen the craft of coaching, to continue to sharpen my saw as a coach and my ability to serve clients, and to focus on the one-on-one and the mastermind through that one-on-one, and we won't even think about adding something like new until next year, because that's, not that I'm not allowed to change my mind on that and have something come up. That's kind of my general way I like to think about things in business. And then the other really big goal and focus for us is I have a beautiful team that is so supportive, and I'm so appreciative of them. And a big goal for us this year is really just looking at team and systems and processes, which we have, but just kind of filling in the gaps and just really looking at, we are very well oiled, but just how can we refine that? How can we make the team just their experience better, but then we can make the client experience better, and just tightening some of that up on the back end. And from a monetary standpoint, my goal, I have monetary, I hope we continue to scale, but my goal this year really is from last year to make the same or more, but by working fewer hours, because we're so efficient as a team, because we are leveraging team support and the systems and processes, because we're so well oiled. So that's just, if it's fun to hear kind of goals and where my brain is at, that is really what we're focused on, and the goals I'm excited about in business, and just what also is going on behind the scenes here. So thank you for hanging with me. Thank you for celebrating some of my wins, but also more the wins under the wins and the big lessons, and sharing those with me. And if you are interested in getting support, if you're listening to this and some of these things really jumped out at you, if you want support on solving the right problem in your business and looking at your business and treating it like a business, and just looking at how you can, yes, both ride that wave and sit through the discomfort and, ride those spots in business that feel more challenging, but also be available for results now, and have the strategy you can rinse and repeat, and the support to scale in a way that really serves you. And all that entails, from the strategy and the systems and processes and the team on the back end, as well as that CEO mindset we've been talking about. That is what I support my clients with. I'm really good at what I do. Clearly been doing this for a long time. I've been on, thousands and thousands and thousands literally of coaching calls at this point, because I only focus on one-on-one, and I've just seen the behind the scenes of so many businesses at every stage. So whether you're just getting started or you've been around and you're scaling to multi-six figures and $1 million, I would love to support you. We do have one coaching intensive we're opening up this month. We opened up 2 this month, and we still have one available if that's something you're interested in. And then we have some one-on-one spots opening up. I'll have to check when those are opening up, but they do tend to fill pretty quickly. And I know we have people booking for June already. So if that's something you're interested in, I would invite you to book a discovery call. I'm the boss, so sometimes I can be flexible and open up another spot, but we do try to be very mindful of capacity. So love to connect with you. I will drop a discovery call link here, and then I'll be back next week with another topic for you all. And just thank you for being here. We'll pick those winners for the coaching call and the content that stands out course on Thursday, and reach out for those. And I just love you all so much. Thank you for being a part of my 6 years. That is actually, let me just say that. I'm gonna be so cheesy for a second. I feel like I'm gonna get really emotional. I actually wanna take one moment to say thank you so much to you being here now, for everyone watching the replay, to this group for sharing this work. I've been showing up, sharing content for so long, but this is the work I love. Like, it actually means so much to me for everyone here showing up and being a part of this community. And some of you have been here when this group was like 23 people or something like that. So just a genuine thank you for sharing this work with me, for being a part of my journey, whether you knew me when I started 6 years ago, or if you just, found me today. Thank you sincerely for being here. I do not take that lightly. I do not take that for granted. I know how busy this space is. So just thank you. And I appreciate it all so much. Mary says, woohoo, congrats. Thank you. It's very fun. So I'm gonna go drink my bubbly water now, and then we'll pop some bubbly this weekend. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I love y'all. I'll be back next week.